This is topic 13-3, surface areas of right pyramids. This is our key concept.
The slant height of a pyramid is the height of a lateral face. The height of a lateral face of a pyramid is called the slant height. The symbol for slant height is a script L.
Okay, to sum up slant height, if we were to fold out this square pyramid into a net, the slant height is just the height of the triangle. So whatever the height of that triangle is, that's what the slant height is. And remember how you write a script L, you can write it like this. What I like to do is write a cursive L. It's just like a loop or a breast cancer symbol or something to that extent. Lateral area of a pyramid.
The lateral area of a pyramid is the sum of the areas of the lateral faces. The lateral area of the pyramid is the total area of its lateral faces. Suppose the perimeter of the base is P, and the slant height is L. You can unfold the lateral faces of a pyramid into a group of triangles. Notice that the lengths of the bases of the triangles added together equals the perimeter of the base of the original pyramid. And the height of each triangle is the same as the slant height of the pyramid. You can form a parallelogram by splitting the triangles into two halves and putting them back together. The lateral area of the pyramid and the area of the parallelogram are equal. So the lateral area of the pyramid equals the base of the parallelogram times the height of the parallelogram. The base of the parallelogram is 1/2 the perimeter of the base of the pyramid. And the height of the parallelogram is the same as the slant height of the pyramid. So the lateral area of a pyramid equals 1/2 the perimeter of its base P times its slant height L.
Go ahead and write this under the word form of the formula, and you can write this under the variable form of the formula. Again, I do not write the dots in between, so you could just write it as LA equals 1/2 P times the slant height, or P times L. Surface area of a pyramid.
The surface area of a pyramid is the sum of the lateral area and the area of the base. The surface area of a pyramid equals the lateral area plus the area of the base. Or SA equals LA plus B.
Go ahead and write this under the word form. Write this under the variable form. You can write it just as SA equals LA plus, remember, capital B. So this is very similar to the surface area of a prism. The only difference is this portion here. Now I want you to think, why do we only add the area of the base? But in surface area of a prism, we have to add 2 times the area of the base. The reason we're only adding area of the base 1 time is because pyramids only have 1 base. Prisms have 2 bases. Part 1, example.
What is the surface area of the square pyramid?
It doesn't matter what type of 3D figure you have. Surface area is still just the sum of the areas of all the faces. There is one big difference between prisms and pyramids, though. Can you see it? Come on, you know enough by now on which to base your answer. Get it?
Alright, first thing we're going to do to figure out the surface area of this pyramid is find our lateral area. So first write your formula. Lateral area equals 1/2 the perimeter of the base times the slant height. Now remember, it's 1/2 because of you're going to break those triangles into two and then you're going to turn it to a parallelogram. So we're going to take 1/2 of the base. So I'm going to bring down 1/2. Then the perimeter of the base. If we look here, this is a square. Remember, perimeter, you're just getting the distance around the entire shape. So the perimeter of this base, you could just do 12 times 4 because all sides are equal to 12 and there's 4 sides. So that would be 48. Now the slant height, remember the slant height is the height of the triangles. If you were to fold it out like a net, you would just get the height of the triangle. So that will be equal to 10. Now we're going to go ahead and multiply. If you get half of 48, that is 24. And then multiply that by 10. And then 24 times 10 is 240. And don't forget your units, that's feet squared. Now we have to figure out the area of the base. So I'm going to write capital B, which is the area of the base. And now the base is a square, so the formula for area of a square is side length squared. Now I'm going to substitute in the side length, which is 12, and 12 squared is 144. And don't forget your units, that's feet squared. Now we're going to write our surface area formula. It is very similar to a prism. Surface area equals lateral area plus area of the base, just one, because this is a pyramid. Now I'm going to substitute in, we already have all of our information, 240 for the lateral area, and then the area of the base is 144. And when we add that together, we get 384, and don't forget your units, that's feet squared. Surface area is squared. Part 1, got it.
What is the surface area of the square pyramid?
Here are your answer choices. Alright, first thing you need to do is find your lateral area. Write down your formula. Lateral area equals 1/2 the perimeter of the base times the slant height. Now we have to figure out the perimeter of the base. Again, this is a square, so you're going to be adding up all the sides. We know all sides are equal, and we know there's 4 sides, so we could just do 10 times 4, which is 40. And then the slant height, remember, that's the height of the triangle. The slant height is 11. Now I'm going to go ahead and multiply, get half of 40, which is 20. And then you're going to go ahead and multiply that by 11. And we end up with 220, and don't forget your units, that's inches squared. Now we have to find the area of the base. So capital B means area of the base. So look at your base, find the area of that. That is a square, so the formula for area of a square is side length squared. Now we're going to substitute in the side length, which is 10, and we're going to go ahead and square that, which is 100. Don't forget your units, that's inches squared. Now we need to tie all of that into the surface area formula. Surface area equals the lateral area plus the area of the base. Pyramids only have one base. Now we have all of this information. The lateral area is 220, and we're going to add 100 to that, and we end up with 320 inches squared. So our final answer is 320 inches squared. Part 2, example.
Misadventure brought home an assortment of tea from India. To the nearest square inch, how much cardboard was used to make the regular triangular pyramid package?
The first thing we need to do is find the lateral area. So since this is a triangular pyramid, all of the sides are triangles. We have to figure out which one is the base. So if we look here, there's only one triangle with these dimensions. So this will be considered our base. So we have to write our formula for lateral area, which is 1/2 perimeter of the base times the slant height. I'm going to bring down 1/2. and then the perimeter of the base. So if we look at this triangle, this is an equilateral triangle. That means all sides are equal. So we have 1 4/10 as our side length. So since this is an equilateral triangle, all you have to do is multiply that by 3. And 1 4/10 times 3 is 4 2/10. So go ahead and substitute that in for the perimeter of the base. And then the slant height, remember, that's the height of the lateral face. So look at the ones that's the lateral face and look at the height of that triangle. And that is 3. So then we're going to go ahead and multiply all of that together. So if we do half of 4 2/10, that's 2 1/10. And then you go ahead and multiply that by 3. You end up with 6 3/10. And don't forget your units, that's inches squared. Now we have to go ahead and find the area of the base. So a capital B equals, we know the formula for area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Now we have to substitute in that information. So look at that triangle. What is the base of that triangle? So the one that's outlined in purple, what is the base of that triangle? So the base of that triangle is 1 4/10. And look at the height. What is the height of that triangle? The height is in orange, so that's 1 2/10 inches. And then you have to go ahead and multiply all 3 of those together, and we get 84/100 inches squared. Now we have to find the surface area. So write your formula. Surface area equals lateral area plus the area of the base. Now we already have all this information. Here's our lateral area, which is 6 3/10, and then the area of the base, which is 84/100. Now we're going to add all of that together. We end up with 7 14/100 inches squared, but it said to the nearest square inch. That means we have to round to the ones place. So our final answer will be 7 inches squared for the surface area of this triangular pyramid. Part 2, got it.
To the nearest square foot, what is the surface area of the regular triangular pyramid?
All right, here is how you will go about solving this. You use the surface area formula, which is surface area equals lateral area plus the area of the base. In step 1, we have to find the lateral area. We know we use this lateral area equals 1/2 perimeter of the base times the slant height. And then we have to go ahead and substitute in 18 for the perimeter, because if you look down here, this is the base. And then 6 times 3 is 18, so that's the perimeter of the base. And then 5 2/10 is the slant height. So here, that is the slant height. Then you go ahead and multiply that, you get 46 8/10. Then you have to find the area of the base. This is a triangle, so you use 1/2 base times height. The base of that base is 6. The height of that base is 5 2/10. And then we end up with the area of the base as 15 6/10. Then you go ahead and substitute all of that into the surface area formula. Our lateral area plus the area of the base end up being 62 4/10. But if you round it, you get 62 feet squared. Part 3, example.
Miss Adventure went camping in New Zealand. Her tent has the shape of a regular hexagonal pyramid. To the nearest square foot, how much fabric was used to make the tent?
Remember, some measurements are more useful in some situations than others. The inside of the tent is open space, so you need to know how much fabric it takes to actually make up the sides of the tent. Oh, and don't forget that it should have a bottom. I'm sure even Miss Adventure doesn't like sleeping on the wet ground. I know I don't. And believe me, it always rains when I go camping. See what I mean? Here we go again. It's a good thing I came prepared. How do you put this thing on? Is there an instruction manual that comes with it, or what?
All right, this is a hexagonal pyramid. We're going to use the exact same formulas. The lateral area is equal to 1/2 the perimeter of the base times the slant height. Now we have to find the perimeter of the hexagon. If we look here, 3 5/10 is one of the side lengths. So there's 6 sides to a hexagon, 6 equal sides. So all we do is 3 5/10 times 6. And we end up with 21. Now the slant height is the height of the triangle. So if we look here, if we were folded out as a net, the height of this triangle, or the height of the lateral face, will be 5. Now we have to go ahead and multiply all of that together. If we get half of 21, that would be 10 5/10. And then we go ahead and multiply that by 5. We end up with 52 5/10. Don't forget your units, that's feet squared. Now we have to go ahead and find the area of the base. So in the first 2 lessons, we figured out what the area of a hexagon was. So the formula for area of a hexagon, remember, you decompose a hexagon into 6 equilateral triangles. So the formula for one triangle is 1/2 base times height, but since you're decomposing the hexagon into 6 equilateral triangles, you just multiply it by 6. Now we're going to go ahead and substitute all of that information. If we look at one of the triangles, let's just focus on this one here. If we just look at this one triangle, what is the base of that triangle? The base of that triangle is 3 5/10. Now what is the height of that one triangle? The height is 3. Now you go ahead and multiply everything. So you could get half of 6, which is 3. And then we're going to multiply everything else. You could do 3 times 3, which is 9. And then go ahead and multiply that by 3 5/10. And we find out the area of the base is 31 5/10. Now we're going to tie all of that together and find the surface area. So surface area equals lateral area plus the area of the base. Now we have all of this information. The lateral area is 52 5/10. The area of the base is 31 5/10. And then you have to go ahead and add all of that together. And then we end up with 84 feet squared. Part 3, got it.
You want to make a tent that has the shape of a regular hexagonal pyramid with the dimensions shown. To the nearest square foot, how much fabric do you need?
Here's your answer choices. All right, first thing we have to do is make sure we use the surface area of a pyramid formula, which is surface area equals lateral area plus the area of the base. Step 1 is we're going to find the lateral area using this formula here. Lateral area equals 1/2 perimeter of the base times the slant height. We have to find the perimeter of the base. If we look here, one side is 7, and then all you have to do is 7 times 6, which is 42. And then the slant height is the height of the triangle. If you were to fold it out as a net, the height of the lateral face, which is 9. And then we go ahead and multiply all that together. We get 189, and don't forget your units, that's feet squared. Step 2 is find the area of the base. Remember, you're going to decompose this hexagon into 6 equilateral triangles. So we're just going to be focusing on this triangle here. 1/2 base times height is the area of that triangle. The base of that triangle is 7. The height of that triangle is 6 1/10. And then you know we have 6 equilateral triangles when you decompose a hexagon. So we end up getting 128 1/10 as our area of the base. And then for the surface area, we're going to substitute all of that information in. You're going to add all this together. You get 317 1/10, but we have to make sure we round it, so we end up with 317 feet squared.